Hello and welcome to everybody to our press conference organized by the German and the Austrian Press Council on our EU project concerning media literacy. My name is Alexander Warzilek. I'm the director of the Austrian Press Council, and today we have with us Katharina Sarikakis from the University of Vienna and Roman Portack from the German Press Council. He's the director there, and he will talk about the project together with Sonja Volkmann-Schluck. She is also working for the German Press Council. So at the beginning, I will give you a short introduction into the project, and afterwards we will show you one of our videos on privacy. Then it's Katharina's turn to speak about privacy and young people in particular. And after that, Roman and Sonja, they will present our podcast initiative, which is also part of the project. So the project on media and information literacy for pupils, for schools, for teachers started 2 years ago. And the core of the project are case studies which can be used for role plays. I have a very good experience on role plays concerning press councils. I did it for quite some years. I did go to schools. I did go to universities. I taught it in different settings, and I could see that the participants were very happy about that practical and playful approach. So I thought it would be a good idea to put it on a next level and to make this role play initiative part of the European Union project concerning press councils in Europe. And yeah, I think the output till now was quite good. Now soon we will have 17 case studies ready for the different role plays. And besides that, we have 4 videos on privacy, on discrimination, on the separation between editorial content and advertising, and the 4th video is on suicide reporting. And besides that, we created also a press code, a fictitious press code, which is the basis for the role plays. This press code is rather short, so it's easier for the students, for the pupils to cope with it. And finally, we started also with a podcast series, and one of these podcasts is already released, and the second one will be released soon. So that's more or less the stuff we have developed during these 2 years. Already 40 teachers, professors have turned to us for getting the password for the toolkit. The toolkit you can find on our website, presscouncils.eu, and you need a password to get the material, because only teachers should get access. Students, pupils, they shouldn't see the solution of the case studies, of course not. Otherwise, the role play would not be so interesting. And the videos everybody can see. We have already already published them online on YouTube, and they will be soon, all the 4 of them will be soon also on our website. Yeah, I think I can show you maybe 1 or 2 cases to give you an impression how those case studies work. I'll show you, let me see, where do I have it now? Here we go. Yeah, I'll show you 1 case which is about table tennis player, a professional table tennis player, and an Austrian newspaper, daily newspaper, wrote an article about her. She was playing at the championships final, and she didn't play very well. So she was severely criticized in the article. And the headline, the heading of the article is "Beauty is not good enough," and she was described as the glittery new entrant and the blink blink entrant in the article. And it was said that it was stated that beauty alone is not good enough, and she was rather adjusting her hair with her red painted fingernails than scoring against her opponent. So this case is about personality protection and about discrimination for reasons of sex. And here you can see just the sheet which will be distributed to the students for the role play. They have the facts of the case, then a short comment on the complaint, and then the different roles which they have to play. And then the teacher will get 2 more sheets on the solution of the case. The pupils, of course, won't see it. And the teacher will also get some guidance how to organize this role play and how to organize this fictitious session of a press council. All right, so now I'd like to show you one of our videos, the video on privacy, and after this it's Katharina's turn. So just wait a second. Edwin, will you show the video or should I do it? Okay, Edwin is doing it. All right. So it's a 3-minute video.
Privacy is the core of the protection of someone's personality.
Because it protects the individual and because also it protects society from unnecessary interference.
And because more and more news reach us every day, the protection of people's privacy within the reporting is becoming increasingly important.
This is recognized as a human right, and it means that it is assigned to all human beings because they were born as human.
But where does the right to privacy begin when you're already out in public? It's the European Football Championship 2020. The Danish soccer star Christian Eriksen has just collapsed on the field. Medics are performing CPR.
He was nearly dying, so it was a very, very delicate moment.
At this point, we come to the old dilemma where we have to strike a balance between the individual's right to privacy and the public's right to know.
In such a situation, it's important that the media stops their coverage.
The concept and practice of privacy changes. Therefore, all those involved in media content should be particularly careful, because whatever information and content it becomes public remains public or available forever.
But what about celebrities and other public figures? They voluntarily put themselves in the public eye. Doesn't that mean that everything from their lives can also be shown publicly? Celebrity newsflash. Summer, sun, tanning fun. Kate Middleton enjoys her vacation in the south of France with her husband, Prince William. The Duchess of Cambridge is sunbathing topless when a photographer from more than a kilometre away is using a long-range lens to snap images of her.
Then he sold those pictures to a French magazine, which published them. This is a classic example for an infringement into privacy.
The role of a public figure does not justify invasion of privacy.
Don't you want to be famous or influential one day? Anyone can suddenly find themselves in the public eye, be it because of a disaster, achievements made, or because one has posted a viral video, and every person wants and should be treated with respect and decency. That is why regulation of reporting is so important.
That's why all the press and media councils, they have provisions concerning privacy. So the media should restrain themselves by not using those materials.
Press councils, the voluntary and self-regulatory bodies of press.
Yeah, thank you, Edwin. So, Katharina, the floor is yours.
Okay, so good morning from me too. I will be brief. That's a promise academics always give, never keep. But so it's important to remember that the function of the media and journalism and the press is not simply to provide information. This is, of course, something that is in, of course, the center of the job of journalists. But there's another job that's taking place at the same time, and this is not necessarily very conscious. It's the fact that the ways in which the press reports on reality or aspects of reality in many ways provides the standards and the context, but also the ways in which other media behave and what we accept as normal and what we criticize as not okay. So in this particular case, the issue of privacy is a very timely topic, especially for youth. As media behavior is changing every day, as we have seen, and it's been changing over the past decade, whereby through social media, for example, we become more lax about what is privacy and what is not. So on the one hand, we have the individual that shares their own information more freely, or especially young people feel they feel under pressure to provide information about the personal lives and privacy, because this is the role models they have from outside. And and this is on the level of the personal use of the media. And then we have that level of the media, which is the press itself, which is a more institutionalized, of course, agent, a more kind of established agent, and an agent that shows standards, how to do things. So there is a little bit of conflict there, because on the one hand, we expect the press to be very careful about privacy. And on the other hand, we see that in social media, privacy is something that we almost tend to forget about. So I think the effort that was done here by the two press councils is particularly important, because the reason is to remind us as society in general that privacy is a human right. So it's not something that comes and goes. It's there for everybody on this planet, and it is at risk. And the importance of this very short video is to remind youth and also educate youth about the fact that no matter who you are, no matter how high you are or how much you're out there, it's important to remember that privacy is something to respect and something to protect, especially the second, which is protection. This is where the institutions come into play, but also individual responsibility comes into play by demanding from institutions, and that is also the media, that they do respect the right to privacy. we know that these issues of privacy have stayed in the limelight of the media since over a decade now. The Leveson inquiry in the UK, for example, was rather about issues of privacy. And again and again, we see such issues of not respecting and of abusing, basically, technology, knowledge, and another right, the right to free expression and the right to free press, abusing these aspects of communication, generally public communication, to infringe into the right of privacy for very, very low level motivation. So it's not really the right to know about something, but it's really a matter of commercialization. And we need to be particularly vigilant there. It's not always easy. But it's very much worth reminding ourselves that some things, despite the fact that practices keep pushing towards different directions, that some things need to remain protected because they provide standards for everybody's civility in our societies. So as far as privacy is concerned, I don't want to say to take up your time anymore. Of course, if there are questions, I'm happy to contribute. But as I said, what I think is important is that we educate our youth and encourage youth as emerging citizens, that some things, despite the pressures from the technological architecture out there or cultural changes out there, that some elements have to remain protected, and privacy is one of them because it's directly connected to human dignity.
Yeah, thank you, Katharina, for your remarks. Roman and Sonja, please, could you be so kind as to tell us something about the podcast initiative, or also maybe some words on the project in general? It's up to you.
Yes, maybe we start with a general overview, and thank you very much for the invitation today, and Catherine, for your introduction to the kind of the big idea behind the project that we came up with. What I'd first like to say is I'm really happy about our cooperation in this project. I'm really happy that we have kind of a pan-European cooperation. We have created a unified European press code out of the press codes of the member countries in order to make the regulation of the press more accessible to students and pupils. And then we have gathered material from several countries, from Austria, from Belgium, from Switzerland, from Finland, from Germany, whose codes are slightly different, of course, but the cases that they came up with for the project, these are kind of recognizable to each and any of us, because press councils face this more or less the same kind of complaints and problems and questions. So I think this pan-European cooperation, this is a very, very important thing for us, and a important kind of view that we take. And of course, we have enjoyed the generous help of the European Commission in making this project happen. Now, we started out with case studies, and what we have delivered here, what we've tried to do was within the selection of the cases that we put into the project, we tried to give an overview of the areas of regulation which are concerned and to which we receive complaints. So that's why we have a case on the breach of protection of identity of a victim. We have a case on journalistic accuracy and diligence, and we have a case on the separation of journalistic and content and advertising, because these areas of regulation tend to attract the main part of the complaints that that we receive, and thus we try to kind of copy that into the case material to give the students and pupils an impression of what we're doing at the press council level in our day-to-day work. This kind of was the first part of the project, those case studies, and I think this has gone really well. And then we took on another format, a new format, which we thought would be something that is accessible to students, and also accessible in a situation still kind of in the pandemic, and that's why we came up with the podcasts. And we have published one already, and one has been in post-production yesterday. Sonja, would you like to give a few details on the podcast?
Sure, thank you, Roman. I just put the link into the chat so everybody can have a look at it and knows how to listen to it. We actually took a very drastic case. Imagine your children are on a trip to Switzerland with school, and they never return. This happened to 22 Belgian kids 10 years ago. They went to a ski trip, and their bus crashed in a tunnel on the way back. It was a tragedy that really touched everybody in Belgium. And together with Peter Knapen from the Belgian Press Council, we talked about this case that has not only changed the way to look at these tragedies, but also has changed the way media are reporting about it. Because what happened? The first thing the media did, that they grabbed pictures that the students had made from themselves on Facebook and used them for their reporting. This is something actually that really happens very often in Germany. We have a lot of public reprimands, which is our hardest sanction, if newspapers take pictures from Facebook, from private accounts, from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and so on, from people that by accident have become victims of accidents and so on. So what happened in Belgium, I think it is quite remarkable. They did not only judge in the press council like a court would do, but they had a meeting with the parents and also with the newspaper. And I think this is a very good example to show the difference between a press council and a court, because there's some mingling in that way also in our because I think that many people sometimes think that we are a court, but we are not. And so just to continue with this example, the members of the press council, the parents, and some self-help groups were meeting, and they were talking, and the newspaper put an apology on its behavior, and there was a change in the press code that if newspapers want to publish pictures of victims, they always have to ask the relatives before the parents. And this really works out in Belgium. In the podcast, there's also the voice of one chief editor of one of the newspapers, Het Nieuwsblad, who had published these pictures at first, and she said that they have never done that again, and that there's a real good understanding now how press ethics work. And I think this is quite a tragic case that also shows young people that they can complain at the press council in such a case, and that it's that really has an effect. I would like to show you the podcast. Could you maybe activate me for, that would be great if it's possible, so I can just show you how the podcasts look. Great, thank you. Wait, I just have to see. I think it is this one. Wait, just a second. It should be here now. Do you see it? Does it work or? Okay, so this is our podcast. And yesterday we actually produced the second episode of this podcast. It's a quite different topic, but we decided against the background of the war in the Ukraine to catch up with this topic. I talked to Eero from the Finnish Press Council about a blogger, about a journalist, Jessica Ado. She also is saying something in the podcast to tell her story. She wrote a lot about Russian trolls and info warriors that are acting out from the dark. And she got attacked by them. And she had to leave the country because she was threatened to death. And now she will publish a book on her experience. And Eero and I talked about how the Finnish Press Council helped her and how a Finnish media make clear that they follow ethical rules like truthfulness and correction of flaws. And this is also a very important difference to social media, because social media are not regulated the same way. And this will be quite a longer podcast. It's about 15 minutes. And I will keep you posted when we will publish that. Thanks.
Thank you, Sonja.
Thank you.
I think we're really looking forward to especially the second podcast as it has this kind of dramatic actuality. And I believe that both matters of the podcast are very relatable, because in the first case, everybody, all the students and pupils, they use social media and they have their material online, and they tend to not use the restrictions, and thus I think they can relate to the problem that arises out of the lifting of pictures of Facebook through media outlets. And yes, the second podcast subject is something that is really a big threat to journalists in Europe, and has this dramatic actuality. And I think it will be very worth listening. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sonja and Roman. I want to stress one more point. Also, for the case studies, we tried to choose topics which are relevant or interesting to young people. And we probably will have also one case on pictures of victims of the war in Ukraine. So we try to be very topical and up to date. And if you need or want to get the password for the toolkit, you should just send us an email at info@presserat.at. But you can find all the information on our website, presscouncils.eu. And of course, I also want to thank Roman and Sonja for the cooperation. And I want to thank the European Commission for sponsoring our project within the bigger project, the Press Councils in the Digital Age. So now we are happy to answer your questions if there are any. Everybody's happy. Okay, if there are no questions, we can end the press conference, and we are hoping that the material, the teaching material, the toolkit will be spread widely all over Europe, and yeah, we will try to promote it also in the upcoming next months. Yeah, thank you very much for your attention, and all the best. And if you want any information on the project, you can contact us. You can have a look at the website. Have a good day and enjoy the toolkit.
Thank you.
Thanks.